Welcome to this Pastel My Business online webinar. Because our accounting and bookkeeping community is so vital to Pastel's business, we'd like to show you firsthand what our latest product offering is all about.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephen. I'm the Managing Director of Pastel, and we're going to start this webinar now. The point of the webinar is really to talk about Pastel My Business from an accountant's perspective. You'll be happy to know that I am a chartered accountant, so hopefully I'll give advice which is practical and correct. Just a quick overview. We launched the product about a year ago, and we have about 1,000 businesses using the software. Obviously, we will continue to enhance and support our current Pastel partner running the desktop. However, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world which tends towards using software over the internet or through a browser. I believe that there are a lot of compelling reasons for it, specifically as accountants, because it allows you to log into your client's application concurrently while their client's working, because it is multi-user. So if you're an off-site accountant who kind of does management accounts once a quarter or once a month for your customer, now you don't even have to go to the offices. Your customer can be working, you can log in to do their VAT returns, and you can log in once a week maybe to just see that everything's okay. You can give them advice. And also, if the computer gets stolen, nobody has to worry, because you can log in from wherever you want to and just get your data again. The product looks very different to what the current Pastel is. Obviously, it's easier for us because you're using the latest tools and all that kind of stuff, so you can do some very cool things technology-wise. So once I log into this company, I'm just going to take a tour of the demo company, which does have live data, and I suggest that you do have a look at that. So at least you'll see the graphs coming up now and all the to-dos, and it's got some meat in it instead of starting off with a blank company. We are working off the Pastel network, so maybe you'll think that it's a bit slow because there are a lot of users on this network. But when you use it over an ADSL line, it's very quick and you won't have a problem in terms of speed. And the responses that we've got from people to date is very encouraging. People like using the software, they find that it's easy to use. I just want to refresh this page. It seems to be taking a while here. Okay, well let's just, what would come up here is a to-do list and a graph, etc., which gives the user a very quick snapshot view of what's going on in their company. On the top right, you'll see the top customers by sales. On the bottom right, you'll see our top selling items. On the top left, your to-do list will load, which is going to show you things like overdue supplier payments, overdue customer receipts, and also a sales graph, which compares this year's sales to last year's sales. And you can click on any of these items on this dashboard and you can drill down to the source information. So drill downs are complete and right through the product. What we have tried to do is we've written this product to be very easy to use. You'll see English language wherever you are. There won't be words like debits, credits, because we've tried to rather encourage small users to at least use the software and not be scared of it. For accountants, however, you may think to yourselves, well, where are these terms, debit, credit, etc., etc.? Don't worry about it. There's complete double entry accounting going on in the back, and everything balances, your trial balance balances. There's a nice balance sheet, income statement, audit trails, etc., etc. I just want to talk about something that often accountants feel uncomfortable about, which is that you can edit transactions in this product. Now, once again, before you all fall off your chairs, we are aiming at a market that really wants software that's easy to use And we didn't want to frustrate users where if they do, let's say, a check in the cash book for 99 Rand instead of 100, they don't have to go and do a deposit to correct it and then, credit notes and all this kind of stuff. They can edit the information. You can password protect that feature out, however. And whether or not you password protect it out, if you go and edit a transaction in the audit trail, it will tell you very clearly that the following transaction was edited and adjusted by X amount. So you can always see it. But if I were you guys and I had a customer, I would probably set up the supervisor password to allow you to edit transactions, which could be maybe your password. And you can be in control of that. But don't worry about it. If you don't want to use it, just block them out. User access part of the program. I'm assuming here that most of you know the product. You've got your typical menus on the top, which one would be used to. The current Pastel product, you've got the process menu. We've rather grouped everything around the kind of suppliers, items being inventory, customers. So if you want to go into a customer invoice, you'll go to customers and say their customer tax invoice instead of go to process into customer tax invoices. You're going to have to get used to the product. I mean, we think it's brilliant, but obviously it takes getting used to if you are a well-drilled Pastel partner user. But I think that for the new users who have never used accounting software before, this is going to be a hell of a lot easier to use. So imagine over here, as I said there, you want to do a customer tax invoice, you can see we've got quick links at the bottom, create a new customer, create a new item, which is an inventory item. We call that items as a generic term instead of stock or inventory. On the right, you've got the typical reports that would kind of like, be pertinent to the screen that you're looking at. We're looking at invoices here, and customers, then sales by customer, sales by item, balances, days outstanding, all that kind of stuff, which is an age analysis. So a person could either go through the menus or use the quick links. I'm not going to go into add tax invoices. I think all of that is pretty clear. In fact, wait, let me just add a tax invoice because I do want to talk to you about one concept that people need to be aware of. So I've clicked on tax invoice and the tax invoice should come up. I don't know why our network is so slow, but please, I promise you, try this from your offices and you'll see it's very quick. I'm just going to give it a second. Over here you put in your customer, you can do quick searches, you can do drop downs, you can add on the fly, all that kind of stuff. But I just want to go down into the actual line of the invoice. Over here it says type. Now you're either going to invoice out an item or you can invoice straight to a general ledger account. So if you say item and you tab out of that, then it's going to be looking for an inventory item. If I said account and I tabbed out of that, then when you drop down, you'll rather see a list of your general ledger accounts. So I just wanted to make that clear. You can do a lot of stuff like add notes to that particular line item. But once again, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm assuming that you know all of that stuff. So let's just go straight into the accountants area. Because we're trying to make it very easy to use, in the accountants area, we kind of hit stuff that accountants would typically use. We didn't want the small business owner to kind of get confused with process journal entries and all that kind of stuff, and tax payments and tax reports. So we put this specifically under this menu item that you could go to do your stuff. So if we go to process journal entries, for instance, this is quite a unique way that we did it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not good. I just want to show it to you. Maybe we'll change it in the future. But if I'm going to do a journal, you put in your date, which is obvious, and then your effect is to increase or decrease. So if you were going to, let's say, buy land and buildings, I would increase land and buildings. So I'll just put it there, land and buildings. Put in a reference. Let's just say Stephen. The description, purchased building. And then let's say it's for 100,000 Rand. By affecting. So purchase land and buildings by affecting, let's say, a loan from an owner. So it's a typical loan account. Entry, tax, no tax. Now what I've done there is effectively I've debited land and buildings and I've credited a loan account. So we did this so that small business owners would maybe be able to do it. We're kind of rethinking it because maybe small business owners won't do general ledger journals anyway, and therefore if you guys are going to do it, maybe we should call it debit credit. But what's beautiful about the world of online accounting is that if we make that change, you'll wake up tomorrow morning, log on, and all of a sudden it's there. Which for us is massive. I mean, instead of sending out 180,000 disks to all our users for this feature, you know that every single one of your users are on the latest version because they're logging into the same website. So for us to make changes to the software, to add features, is really easy. Another important point I should say to you, because of this whole convenience of how easy it is to add features, we're really building this product incrementally, and users who have been using it for a year love it because every single month there are new features, there's nice little cool things that come into the product, where when you're in the kind of, let's say, old world of desktop software, you've got to bring out your releases like once a year or once every 18 months because, you know, every time you do it, the 180,000 CDs and the couriers and all that kind of stuff. Over here, you're really far more aligned with your feature sets and what you can do with the product. Okay, so that's how you do journals. If you process it, then post the entry to the general ledger. If you say process a new, the only difference there is that it stays in that screen, so it will post that entry and then bring up the same screen where you can do a new one. If you just say process, it will post it to the general ledger and go into the main dashboard. So that's all really this process and new and process is about. You'll see it in a few places in the product. All the same kind of stuff. If I go to the accountants area again and I want to do a tax payment or refund, this is for VAT. We called it tax because it is an international product. We didn't want to call it VAT because some people, like in Australia, they work with tax, but it's VAT. Okay, so we just try to make it generic. Over here you can see how easy the report is. From the 1st to the 28th, and then shows what your output is, your input tax, and then at the bottom there, is it a payment or a refund, and you just go and post the entry. And you would go to process. I'm going back to the accountants area. I'm going to do a tax adjustment there now. So if you want to adjust the VAT because there was some mistake or something as an input and output, you can do that there as well. Don't be too worried about this kind of stuff. I just really want to go to the reports because this is the kind of stuff that you guys would be interested in. The trial balance, opening balances and tax adjustments report. You can adjust the opening balances whenever you want to in this product, and this allows you to get a report of exactly what all the opening balances was. Your audit trail reports, your tax reports, tax payments and refund, and a tax audit report. And it gives you nice descriptions of what all these things are. But if I go to the trial balance report, I want to quickly show you there. It says there date range, yearly, monthly, live to date. And it says this year or last year. Okay, and show closing balances, movements, you know, because it's just the opening balance of 100, closing 200, it's going to just show you the movement of 100. What I'm trying to say here, though, is that this product is completely date-driven, which I think gives a hell of a lot of advantages to the user and the accountant. There's no purging of data. There's no restoring from a backup because you do an audit for 3 years ago. All your information stays in there. So if you wanted to see an income statement, for instance, for 3 years ago, you'll just put in the date of the 1st of January 2008 and the 31st of December 2008. If you wanted to see it for a day, you could say from the 1st to the 1st. There's none of these kind of accounting periods. The only question we ask is, what is your current financial year? And the reason why we ask what is your current financial year is it just, if you say this year or last year, we understand what this year is. But in fact, in the product, it doesn't really care. But we just, you say what's the current financial year, so at least when you do a trial balance, it knows what this year is. It knows where your year-to-date starts from. But it's just really a reporting thing. But anyway, let's go and quickly view the report. So I click on View Report. And it's going to do its thing. Sorry, I am a bit embarrassed that our network is so slow, but I'm confident to say that because I know over the net it's actually very quick when you got a normal business running a network for 10, 20 users instead of the 500 that we are. So let's just quickly wait for this trial balance to show on the screen. You can see your progress bar at the bottom of the screen. Okay, here we go. And there you see your typical trial balance. And there, to make accountants happy, we've got the column headings debit and credit, just so that you know that we aren't trying to cop out of this one. And then you can see, you know, balances, and there's your profit, retained income, whatever it is. You can see that my mouse pointer turns to a hand, so sales. If I click on that 21, it's actually going to drill down into all the transactions making that up. If I click on any one of these sales transactions, it's actually going to go and load the invoice and show you the actual invoice. You can see, I went too quickly, but anyway, here's the invoice. So you can actually see the invoice that we were on. And then obviously you can go back, etc., etc. So I'll just quickly go back. Back one more time, so we go to the actual trial balance. I think these reports are very neat. And on every single report, you can email the report, you can print it, you can save it to PDF, XLS, RTF, text, image, all that kind of stuff, which we also thought was pretty cool. Back to the accountants area. Reports. Let's quickly just go and have a look at the, let's just say we're going to have a look at the audit trail report. So we've got audit trail. And you can see it says this report shows when transactions were created, edited, whatever. There's your date range. You'll view the report. You can print the report. You can email the report. But remember, when I would, instead of emailing a report before you see it, I would rather view the report to screen and then click on that little email button once you're happy with it and send it out. So over here, these are the kind of things. The event, the date, the time, the reference, the transaction date. You've even got reports where you can see which user did it, etc., etc. So you'll be very comfortable with that kind of stuff. Back to normal reports, okay? Because remember, those reports are in the accountants area, and some of them are duplicated. Like you'll have an audit trail report maybe in the accountants area and somewhere else, but accountants will be comfortable that what they want to see is there. But you're also going to go, yeah? So let's go to financial statements. Profit and loss. We called it a profit and loss. We didn't call it an income statement because we thought that small business owners would be more familiar with the term profit and loss than income statement. Once again, date range. Now remember, you can go back 10 years here, whatever you want. The cost of sales based on purchases or not, I'll quickly explain that to you. So we go and view the report. Also, same story, you could email it from here or you can email it once it's there. But there's your typical income statement. Sales, purchases, gross profit, other income like interest received and that stuff, expenses, and then your net income after tax, etc., etc. And these reports are also drill downable. So wherever you see a turn into a hand, you can drill down. What I want to talk about over here is if we just quickly go back, this cost of sales based on purchases or sales, what we're talking about there is we always have this challenge of, you know, do you do periodic or perpetual inventory? And I remember learning about this at university. And obviously, theoretically, the perfect way to do your cost of sales is perpetual. So when you buy stock, you debit stock and you credit cash or the suppliers. And when you sell it, you're debiting the customer, crediting sales, debiting cost of sales, crediting stock. So every single time you do an invoice, it goes and puts the cost of sale in an income statement. The problem that we found in practice with accounting software is that very often people's costs go out of whack for certain theoretical reasons, and we can sit and debate this for years. I promise you, I've been in this business for 20 years, and this point is almost unsolvable. And I've spoken to software vendors that have been around for years. Somehow your costs on the items I don't even want to say very often, they go out, and there are reasons for that. You can do a return to supplier for a weird value, and then it screws up your averages and all that kind of stuff. So I'm personally more comfortable with the periodic method of accounting for cost of sales. And that's where when you buy stock, it debits purchases, which is an expense, and it credits your supplier or cash. When you sell the stock, you just simply debit debtors, credit sales. Now, what's your problem with that? Your only problem with that is that if you've got a fortune of stock at the end of your accounting period, you've got to bring that to account because it's all gone to purchases, so it's reduced your profit. But then it's simple. You guys being accountants, you go into a stock take and you go into your closing entry, debit stock, credit, cost of sales. But what I like about it is that if the small business owner says, why are my purchases so high? He can tie every purchase to a supplier invoice. Where if you're doing the perpetual method, which is debiting cost of sales, crediting stock every single time you do a sale, that's like a computer calculated entry. And you're not tying it up into a supplier invoice. You kind of saying, well, the computer took an average times it by 10, if that was the units, and then said that's the cost of sale. But you can't go and click on a source document. You can click on the source document, it's the invoice, but you're not going to see the cost of sale on that invoice. Where with the periodic method, where you're taking all your purchases to an expense instead of stock on the balance sheet, then that way you can always just click on it and see the original supplier's invoice and you feel comfortable because what the supplier's invoice says is what's in your expense account being purchases, and then you just got to journalize the closing stock, which I think is very easy. For me, this is the best way to do it because it's understandable. You don't have this calculated cost of sale entry going through, which sometimes does weird and wonderful things. We even had a customer who managed to have a stock item that had a negative cost. So whenever you sold it, your cost of sales was actually creating profit, you know. So you get into absolutely ridiculous situations. And I promise you, I can sit you down at a whiteboard and I can make that happen. And you can't blame the software. You don't call me defensive, but you can't blame the software because if you've got one item in stock for 10 Rand, and let's say you do a return to supplier for 12 Rand, now it's going to go into a minus, you know. So, and maybe that was the deal you did with the supplier, that you're returning for 12 Rand, I don't know. So I'd much rather do the purchases thing. All right, I just want to quickly go to the cash book to talk to you a bit about that. So banking, banks and credit cards, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you must set up your credit cards as a bank account, but just let's go and say process banking credit card. I just want to quickly talk to you about this screen. And guys, seriously, for people like you who know accounting software, I would expect you to get into this product within half an hour. You should understand this product. So over here it's simple. It says bank, which bank account. So you'll say the petty cash account, whatever you want. But I'm going to say National Bank current account. It shows you what your balance is in grey. Show previous transactions. If it makes you feel comfortable, you can see the previous transactions, so you can see kind of where you left off. Okay? So then it would pull all your previous transactions through, which apparently here there aren't any. But then once again, that's the date range. We're just assuming 30 days back, but you can change it to a year ago. Now, here's your cash flow. There are payments, there's receipts, there's transfers in, and there's transfers out. Your transfer in and out is just between bank accounts, okay? It's not between asset and liability accounts. It's only, because like if you buy land and buildings, then you will do a payment to land and buildings. But if you're transferring money between your credit card and your current account or your call accounts, then you're going to rather do it by transfer in, transfer out. So let's go to a payment, hell of easy. Enter the date, bring up the calendar, whatever you want. Which account is it? I'll just type in their telephone. Oh, sorry, this is important. We just put this feature in. Are you posting this entry to a general ledger account, which is account? Are you making out a check to supplier? Or are you paying tax, i.e. VAT? So let's say normally you're going to say an account. Okay, and then I'll put in my telephone because now we're posting to the telephone account. Reference to, reference for me is also becoming an interesting thing these days. I assume most of you on the phone are my age, where you remember checks and, now today it's internet transfer, so don't even ask me what the reference is anymore. Description, we'll just say telecom. What type of tax is it? Standard rated, 0, exempt. You're excluding, so we'll say 100. It makes it there for you. End of story, done. Okay? That plus and minus, if you want, look, when I tabbed off the line, it created a new transaction for me anyway. But if you had done 10 and you wanted to add one in sequence, then you could hit the plus sign and it will automatically add. Or if you wanted to delete the line, you hit the minus. I think it's pretty intuitive stuff. It hasn't been posted yet. This is in a batch, okay? If I now want to process this thing, all I will say is process or process anew. Same story. Process will take me out of the screen, put me in the dashboard or the home screen. Process anew, I'll go and process it, and I'll do it now, and then you'll see it will stay in that screen. So let's just wait for this thing to happen. And it's done, and if this program's working right, it keeps me in the cash book screen, so you can continue. The receipts are the same story. The transfers in from account to account reference, very simple. You can see we don't have any tax there, because for inter-account transfers, tax isn't relevant. I just want to show you one other thing quickly. If I now say the type is either an account, let's say I'm paying a supplier. It's the same as that invoice story where you're saying item or account. Now, the selection won't show me general ledger accounts. It's actually going to show me a list of all my suppliers. So East Coast, by reference, let's say 2 again, description, I could just say the payment. Obviously, there's no tax. We're intelligent enough there to know that there is no tax, because obviously the tax was accrued when you debited purchases, credit suppliers. Now you just credit in cash and you're debiting the supplier. So we'll go and put in 1,000 Rand, and that's the story. Is there any discount, i.e. early payment discount or something? It will do all the right stuff, guys, I promise you. You know, what is the entry here? Credit, you've got to debit the supplier 100, and maybe, what is the entry? There's a discount received. So you put in 90 and tax. Actually, I must think about that. When I put 1,000 Rand, guys, I'm talking to like you, my mates, okay, so please don't hassle. If I put 1,000 Rand in there and a discount of 100, will it credit, will it debit the supplier 1,100 or 1,000 with the discount? You know, is it including the discount or excluding?
It would be excluding the discount.
So if I put 1,000 Rand including in a discount of 100, is it going to debit the supplier 1,100 or 1,000 and then bank 900 and discount received 100?
No, it will bank the 1,100.
Is it?
Yes, the discount will bank.
All right, guys, play around with it. I promise you it works. You just got to get used to it. And then you'll go and process and everything's okay and all the VAT entries happen. Something that we also find very useful now, I'm going to go to banking, this thing of import bank statements. I find it massively useful. Those of you who use the bank manager on the current Pastel partner range, it's exactly the same thing, okay? So you'll say, which account are you doing it? Now let's assume you went into internet banking, you have now downloaded in a OFX format or a whatever it is. We've got OFX and we've got CSV. So let's say you did OFX, put in the date, you browse to the file, wherever it is on your desktop, you import the file, and then what you will see is all those transactions will be brought through from the OFX file. And then you do that normal story. You map the description, so if you see this description posted to this account, and then you go and process this whole batch and it's done. And now the next time you import your bank statement, it remembers all those descriptions and, you know, it sees pick and pay, it knows to post it to groceries and all that kind of stuff. And for some reason, a lot of our users have been like quite scared to try this, but once they do it, then they can't live without it. Because then really you just, you know, you're doing stuff in seconds, which maybe used to take you longer. What else can I talk to you about? Let's go to company. Now, actually administration. I want to rather go to administration. So over here you see a list of all your companies. Remember, I went to company, open a company. By the way, this thing here, assets. It's a nice little report of all your assets in the company. Now, it doesn't do depreciation and stuff like that. But I think it's very important for a user to do this. So if you buy cars, you put in the registration numbers. What's the replacement value? What did I pay for it? What's the date? So at least you know where all your fixed assets are. And so it's a kind of asset register. I mean, I know in terms of the Companies Act, you're supposed to have an asset register where you have your depreciation. Okay, we've just got an asset register without the depreciation. But imagine if the insurance person walks in. Now all of a sudden you just print a list of all the fixed assets in the company, the serial numbers, all that stuff with values. And then, you know, you can go and export this to Excel and go and depreciate the thing if you want to. But I just think it's very important for businesses to know where all their fixed assets were, know what they paid for it, know who the supplier was, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going back now. We're going to go to administration, and this is where you will actually handle passwords and stuff like this. Now I just want to log into another company because on the demo company you can't do that stuff. Lekko, do you have a company that I can log into? So I'm just going to go home. Where do I go and log in? Well, I'm going to log out and then I'll log in again. Okay. What can I do? Last one. This one. Last one. Yeah, log in. Okay, so I'm going to log in because now I'll be able to show you the the stuff about the financial years and the different user accesses and all that kind of stuff. So this is Lekko's company. Just remember that in the demo company you won't be able to see users and all that kind of stuff. But let's get, and by the way, there are those graphs. You know, and if I click on that graph, I'll then, because look, that's May this year, because the dark is this year, the light is last year. And if I click on May, it's going to actually show me all the transactions. Well, actually, it's going to show me the days of May now, which is also quite cool. So now you can see on the 7th of May. And obviously, if we were in the demo company and it's more fleshed out, the graph would look fuller. But anyway, let's just go to administration. You can see there are more menu options now that I'm not in the demo company. Manage users, control user access, change passwords, all this stuff. I just want to go to manage users. So over here, you would add a user. And this, you know, the first name, last name, email, comment, notes. What I like about this, if you saw on the previous screen, is that this is where the user would, you say, invite his or her accountant. Have a look at the writing at the bottom right. You can invite other users to access your company. So this is typical multi-user. In the old days, you know, this would be setting up your network users, your concurrent users, bookkeeper, the sales, invoicing clerk. But if I was a user here, I would go and invite my accountant, pretend my accountant's name is Lekko. I'd say, Lekko, I've created a password for you. And then from your office in, I don't know, I don't care if it's on the moon, Lekko could go and log in and say, Steve, I see you had a good trading month, but your VAT's out, and what did you do? You made a mistake, or do you know you're going insolvent, or do you know that you're doing brilliantly? Let's list the company, without Lekko having to catch a rocket from the moon and come and visit me and have a chat. So it really allows you to spend more time in the office, hopefully being productive. Okay, so those are users. Let's just go back to administration. Control user access. Okay, that shows your available users, your current company users. If I click on permissions, what you will see here now is what this particular user is allowed to do. Can you go into the accountants area? Can you process journal entries? All that kind of stuff. And then obviously, can they edit transactions would be there as well. I just want to go there to company again. If I say manage companies, so obviously over there you could add companies if you're doing various sets of books, but if I say manage companies, if I edit this company here, this is where you would put in the information about the company. So what is the company's name? Pastel Software, their telephone, their fax, email addresses, all that kind of stuff. But this is what's important. That financial year there. You see, it knows what financial years exist, and all you have to do is tick which is the current financial year. So at least it knows all its date ranges on reports. What does this year mean? Okay? Your tax systems, is it invoice-based, is it payment-based, with different tax types there, how you want it rounded, what your regional settings are, put decimals, all that kind of stuff. Document setups and logos, because maybe you want to import a logo to put on your invoice, some of the report layouts, etc., etc. And I'll just click right there and I can go and see a few things, your statement messages. So this is kind of like fixed data that follows this company around in the product while you use it. Also have a look under downloads, because that's quite cool. You can download certain things. You can download the report designer, so it will help you change your forms for invoices, statements, all that kind of stuff. I love this. It's a floating desktop widget. So imagine the owner of the business not wanting to log into My Business. He just downloads this little component, has it floating on his desktop, and it's showing him sales, and you can scroll right to say, show me top selling items, show me top customers. So, and then you can set the refresh rates, maybe once every 5 minutes. So imagine a business owner who just doesn't even have the product on his screen. He's just got this little floating thing on his desktop being updated with all the critical information of the day. You can also download the iPhone app, and we're going to be doing stuff with the BlackBerry, etc., etc. So check out the downloads thing. And that's really the story. I'm trying to think about it from an accountant's view. One other thing I have to show you is if we just go back to reports and I have a look at financial statements, I just want to show you statement of assets and liabilities. Once again, you run it at any date. You don't run it at a period, okay, which Pastel partner you used to. This thing is just completely date-driven. So if we just view the report, it's going to do it as at the 14th of October 2010. And there's your statement of assets and liabilities. And the reason why we call it the statement of assets and liabilities is A, the receiver of revenue refers to the statement of assets and liabilities when you do the RT14, I think it is, the tax return. And also a small business owner would probably understand statement of assets and liabilities better than they would what a balance sheet is. But essentially that's what it is. The only thing a statement of assets and liabilities does not show you is your retained income. It's hidden in your net asset value over there at the bottom right, but if you do want to see your retained income, then I would rather go and print out a trial balance. The report that makes us accountants famous. Okay, so there's your trial balance. I did this about 20 minutes ago, and you'll go down there and see your retained income. So guys, don't worry, it's there. Yeah, that's kind of a nice accountant's overview of the product. You know, just one thing that we put in now as well, on your customers and suppliers, you can do balance brought forward or open item, which is like kind of allocate payments and receipts to specific invoices. Balance brought forward, don't worry about, because it is still open item, but what it's really just doing is allocating it to the holders balance, and you can change it at any time you want to. So I think that for a small business, this is the perfect solution. It's by far the easiest product that to use that we've ever written. You know, I say a small business, even if you're a business with 10,000 customers and 100,000 stock items, you can use this product. The only place that you can't use it is when you think about the add-on modules of Pastel Partners. So if they want multi-warehouse and they want serial number tracking, then this isn't the product. But if they're just buying and selling, or it's a service industry, that kind of stuff, this product is absolutely great. Now, this product is called Pastel My Business. And Pastel My Business is our promise to the market of simple, easy-to-use stuff that anybody can use. The accountant can still dig it, because you can see it's got everything you need. We then going to use this technology to bring out the Pastel Partner online range and the Express range, and that's going to have serial number tracking and all that kind of stuff, the add-on modules. But this product is going to stay as is. We will add cool things, like we're going to allow you to see all your sales on Google Earth. So a picture of a map will come up, and you'll see red dots for credit notes and blue dots for sales, and you'll be able to see it geographically. We sold stuff in Cape Town this month, some in Joburg. That's what we call a cool thing. But the heavy-duty accounting stuff, like serial number tracking, multi-browsing, and job costing, we're not going to add into the My Business range, because the promise of that range is simple, easy-to-use, generic stuff. And we didn't want to go and populate this product, My Business, with a fortune of features that only 5% of the users would use, because then you're kind of like complicating for the other 95% of people who don't need it, and it complicates the product. So the My Business range is going to stay like it is now, with a few extra cool things that we spoke about. And then next year, we'll bring out Express, and then we can say to people, once you're in the Express Partner range, well, you've got to be more accounting savvy to use it. And, we'll just organically move it. But I must just tell you that for us it's great, because you want to do things, you pop it onto the website, that all the 100,000 users who log in tomorrow are going to see those features. So it's much more fluid than the traditional way of doing accounting that we all used to. I think it's great for you guys that you can work off-site. I think it's great for you guys that you don't have to worry about driving out your customer. You can see all the graphs, the dashboards, and we're going to put a lot more of that kind of stuff into this product as well. Now that kind of ends the session. These webinars are exploratory for us. I think it's a brilliant way to get out to all the end users instead of making you all drive in the traffic and staying, going to the auditorium. But we want this to be interactive. We want you guys to say, you know what, that was a bit over the top, Stephen. You didn't go into enough detail. We want you to concentrate on this periodic perpetual story. I want to know more about the retained income. How does that work if it's just date-driven? Then we can have a session specifically on that. Because remember, it's also very easy for us. I'm sitting in one of the meeting rooms and I'm talking to, I don't know how many people, maybe 70 people. So if you want me to do one tomorrow, 5 o'clock to 5:30, you guys tell us what you want to see. And I don't have to make parking available and organize caterers and all that kind of stuff. And this is kind of what the internet and the web's about. It's about convenience, and it's just win-win-win. It's not costing you anything to log in. I don't work that hard, so I've got time to do these things, and I love doing it. So please be interactive. Please tell us what you want. Not only in terms of features in the product, but let's also just talk about what customers want, what you want, and we'll cover it that way. Thank you very much. Leku, are you going to take it over to tell the guys that they're going to ask questions and stuff like that?
Tell them I'm answering some of the questions as we go along.
All right, guys. Well, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hand you over to my well-equipped and competent partner here, Leku, and she's available for questions and all that kind of stuff. And if there are lots of questions, we'll come back to you in the next 24 hours. There may be questions that Leku can sort out now. But please come and join us in this exciting journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for this My Business Online webinar. If you found it useful, please visit the Pastel website to find out about future My Business Online webinars or training courses. Alternatively, contact us on sales@pastelmybusiness.co.za.